Next time, I'll talk about something different in terms of lost media. Maybe I will talk about games about a kid with two shoes from the late 2000s / early 2010s, or talk about a chef going to New York for a video in 2015 by a guy named Logan.
Well, that didn't turn out as planned. Nah, I'm not doing that crap. So it's been a while since my last Lost Media related video, hasn't it? We're in the third year of the 2020s, and after 2 whole years, I'm finally back with a Lost Media related video. What am I going to talk about for the second Lost Media related video on this channel? Well, the United Paramount Network. Yes, I really went from discussing a lost scene from a plush video on YouTube to talking about an obscure TV network that has been long forgotten. That will be a common practice once I talk about more pieces of lost media, so let's get used to it.
Viacom.
For those who don't know, UPN was a television network created by Viacom as a way to compete against the big four over-the-air networks at the time, which consisted of ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. UPN was deemed a failure, as the network struggled to catch the attention of American viewers at the time. The network dissolved in 2006 and was replaced by the CW, a network I'm sure everyone knows about at this point. The target audience of the network was the African-American viewer base, as the network had aired a ton of black sitcoms. Instead of looking at the library circulated sitcoms, I'll look at a show that was one of, if not, the lowest rated TV program of its time. It's time to unearth Reunited, the sitcom that completely faded from existence. So what is Reunited, you might ask? I mean, since no one really knows anything about this show because of how obscure it is, I'll have to explain it either way. Reunited is an American sitcom created by Mark Alton Brown and Dee LaDuke for the United Paramount Network. Produced by Cancellation Entertainment, the series follows Nikki Beck, played by Julie Haggerty, meaning the daughter that she gave up for adoption for the first time in 21 years. Nikki, described in a Helpful Variety article as being the modern-day equivalent of a Stepford woman, is a suburban mom who lives in Pittsburgh. Nikki works at a local discount store and lives with her husband, Gary, played by Chris Bennis. It was Amy, her redhead daughter, played by Rainey Olstead. Amy is also described in the Variety article as having the mind of a 17-year-old at age 7. One day, presumably out of nowhere, Nikki's long-lost daughter, Joanne, shows up to the front door of Nikki's house. Joanne is a bad girl who's a strong foil to the happy-go-lucky family of the Becks. Joanne, played by Kelly DiMartino, is a cynical type character who's basically a punk 90s girl. Nikki, unsurprisingly, is in disbelief in the way her long-lost daughter turned out. The two will have to settle the differences and try to get along if they want to live under the same roof. With a concept like Reunited, the only way for the show to progress is to stir up the tension between Joanne and Nikki each and every episode, which would become stale and repetitive very quickly. In the Variety article, the author describes the comedy as being terribly unfunny and that it didn't make much sense. The author also makes a great point about the concept by stating the obvious. Why would Joanne stay with the family that is against her personality and attitude when she want to go with her adopted family, as they are fine with the way she presents herself? As you can tell by the premise of Reunited, the show wasn't destined to last that long. By looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score and knowing what network the show aired on, you can see why the show went to obscurity as quickly as it did. Reunited only lasted for 6 episodes, with one episode being unaired, as the show concluded early due to low ratings. Speaking of low ratings, the show only attained about 885,000 viewers each episode, which in the context of 1998 is absolutely horrible. The show was one of the lowest viewer-rated programs in the 1998 through 1990 season at number 164 according to the Nielsen rankings at the time. Obviously, the show was cancelled immediately after it aired its last episode on television, and the series was a complete failure. The show hasn't been released in any way, shape, or form since its cancellation all the way back in 1998. Nothing but 2 promos for the series and a promotional photo have been found. Now that you know what this obscure and unpopular UPN show is, it's time to talk about attempting to search for the episodes. Since Reunited has such low ratings, the series was not released on home video, meaning that we have to rely on VHS recordings for the episodes of the series to be found. The first step I took into looking for an episode of the series was by searching for the series on YouTube, which is how I eventually found 2 promos advertising the show. The first promo I found was from a compilation of UPN commercials uploaded by a YouTube channel called Channel 37. Due to the amount of VHS content Channel 37 had on their channel, I decided to look for a way to request a group to look through the VHS archives for an area of one of the 6 aired episodes of Reunited. Unfortunately, I found out that Channel 37 didn't take take requests and decided to not comment about the show. The second promo I found for this series was much shorter and was clumped together with several promos for 2 other UPN shows, Clueless and Malcolm and Eddie. The web containing the photo was uploaded on September 16, 2009, which made me have a myriad doubts of successfully contacting the channel owner. My suspicions proved to be true, as the last video uploaded on Mitt Dawson's channel, the channel in question, was on July 12, 2012, almost 10 years ago. The video was titled Goodbye Texas, and featured Mitt staring into the camera for several seconds until faintly saying, "Hello." I curiously decided to look at the comment center to find out his whereabouts, and was surprised to find out that Mitt Dawson passed away on September 16, 2012, exactly 3 years after the UPN promos were re-uploaded. He was 49 years old. He is remembered for his game shows for Red Gundy Productions. These 2 discoveries were a devastating blow in the search for any episode of this series, as one we didn't have the time to take requests, and the other passed away almost a decade ago. Now I had to scour through many web pages in order to find anything related to this long-forgotten UPN sitcom. When I made a simple Google search for Reunited, I found a listing for the series on Discovery Plus. When clicking on the Watch Now button, I was greeted to a paywall page, forcing me to pay for a subscription in order to view anything on the service. And in consequence of the paywall, I decided to look at some third-party subscription listing sites, only to find out that Reunited on Discovery Plus is a completely different show than the UPN sitcom from 1998, which wasn't surprising to say the least. The Discovery show is about owners reunited with their pets for the first time in years, and was a documentary series similar to Discovery's other content. Now that I avoided a trap that was Google search, I looked through many other web pages just to find something from the series. Eventually, I found an interesting piece of media. Not one, but 2 series synopses about Reunited in great detail. On Google Books, you will find at least 2 reported encyclopedias about TV shows that feature Reunited. One about the list of TV shows from 1925 to 2010, even though TV didn't become a thing until the 1930s, and the other about single-season 1990s sitcoms. The online book lists the synopsis for the sitcom, but for this video's sake, and the fact that I always stated a synopsis earlier in the video, I will not read it here. The links to the episodes are in the description. Either way, the synopsis gave me much more insight into the series than I got from the other plot summaries, but at the end of the day, I was not looking for that specifically. I wanted to find more footage and or more images from the show, but I soon came to realize that dream wasn't going to happen by myself, which is one of the reasons why this video was created in the first place. In order to reasonably continue the search for this program in a broad and accessible way, I decided to publicize the search for the series to the internet. That's with the help of the Lost media community. The chances of this show being found are much higher than before. Also, if anyone who's watching this video recorded TV episodes on UPN around fall 1998, I recommend that you look for your tapes, as you may find something that you might not expect, footage of Reunited. So there you have it. Nothing but 2 promos and extremely low quality promotional images to start for the search for Reunited, the Lost UPN sitcom. Easily was a show this recent. I mean recent very loosely in this case. There would be at least a couple more promos and way more images available online. But since we're talking about the UPN here, complete obscurity is completely in the ballpark. Due to the extremely low ratings of the show at the time, the chance of a rip of the episodes being found is much lower than usual. Even though the odds are against the show being found, there's still some possibility that at least the pilot was taped, as the first few episodes of the series are known to get the most viewers compared to succeeding episodes. If the 6 air episodes are found on a VHS tape or get released onto a streaming service like Crackle, I would honestly be surprised. The show being released on Crackle is much more likely than the former, as that's how Guys Like Us, another UPN sitcom released in 1998 that became Lost, was found. Just like Reunited, Guys Like Us failed to gain an audience due to its late time slot and lack of promotion. The sitcom internally lasted for 13 episodes, with episode 13 being unaired. For almost 2 decades, Guys Like Us was lost and inaccessible to the public, until Crackle came to save the day. On October 2nd, 2021, Crackle released all 13 episodes, including the unaired episode 13, onto their free streaming service, meaning that anyone can watch the series online. Although Guys Like Us was broadcasted on UPN, the show was distributed by Sony Pictures Television, and with Sony owning Crackle, the reasoning behind the release makes more sense than before. Due to the fact that Reunited was distributed by Castle Rock Entertainment, that means it's up to Warner Bros. Discovery, the parent company of Castle Rock, to re-release the series. Unfortunately, I don't see Warner Bros. Discovery doing this though, as re-releasing an unsuccessful series would seem like a terrible business decision on their part, and with the fact that Discovery already has the aforementioned TV series titled Reunited on their own streaming service, I cannot see this show being officially officially released anytime soon. That puts the finding of the show to the broader public. It was the only way of finding the show being through VHS recordings at UPN at the right time slot. I have some doubts. The show had extremely low viewership, lowering the chances of an episode being uploaded onto the internet. Even though the search for the show will be challenging, I still believe that there is a chance of the show being found, as anything can happen these days. In order to centralize the search for this series, I created a section on my Discord server, link in the description, where you can discuss your findings related to the series. Whenever there's a major finding, I will make sure to acknowledge and document it. In retrospect, I cannot believe that all of this started out with an emplemon video about home movies of all things. In said video, states that home movies was the second lowest viewed program in the 1998 through 99 television season, with the lowest being Reunited at number 164. The ranking intrigued me to the point where I started researching the series, which led me to where I am now. This occurrence proves that everything happens for a reason, and if this series sees some major findings after this video, you can thank me for that. In extension to this point, my Discord message on the Lost Media Wiki Discord announcing the status of Reunited contributed to the creation of the article about the series in the first place, which sparked some interest in the Lost show. To get back on topic, the search for Reunited will take a while since we're talking about a show that was unpopular since release, which means that the availability of VHS recordings are definitely low at this point. Unless the master tapes get released by one of the production crew members without legal troubles, the only method we have of finding episodes of this show is when the viewers of UPN who are recording at the right place at the right time. At this point, I'm ready to start the search for this series, as the journey in terms of finding lost media is the best part of the process. The collaboration of many people from many different backgrounds to join together for one cause will always fascinate me, and the fact that I'm given this opportunity is amazing. To put a long story short, it's time to start searching.
Howdy do.
Reunited on UPN. Why don't you go wash your hands?
They're clean.
Well, then go wash your feet.
Yes, Dad.
You guys said it's lit. The ones who saw it. Like, the comments are lit. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Let's go.
Go fish, nigga!